Hey everybody, it's Mike Copero with podcastcondition.com with the 81st episode of What You Drinking, here with Dan and Skylar, sort of. Dan's kind of up and running. We can hear him, but we can't see him yet, and Skylar, we haven't seen or heard from him yet. So, but we're just getting started here. So we may see some others popping in later on as well. I think Kevin might be joining us. So we're here for another hour, another week, and we're drinking some beers from our cellars is what we landed on with the wheel last week. So we're taking some beers out of our stash and our collections, stuff that we've either aged for a little bit or sometimes for years.
All right.
There you are. All right, so we've got Dan. How you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty good. How's it going?
Good, man. I'm excited to have some beers. This I had a sip. I'm not gonna lie. This is I'm excited about this because I forgot about my beer being bourbon barrel aged. I just read it today and I was like, oh, good. I'm excited because that's the kind of mood I'm in right now. Anyway, so that's the perfect kind of beer for right now. So, but you got something really special. So why don't you talk about what you brought to the table for this evening's show?
Sure. This is, I don't know how special it is. It's I've got a stockpile of this for a while now. This is the Thomas Hardy's 2004. You can just kind of barely see it there. If I pull back a little, it'll be easier to see.
You're opening a 10-year-old beer tonight.
Yeah, and mostly because it's a smaller beer. These they made two sizes of these back in the day when they were kind of in primary production, and eventually they kind of went down to one. There was a pint size, which was full, like, closing on 16 ounces of beer. And this is what they call the nip bottle. So it's an 8.5 ounce bottle of beer, so roughly half pint. And I don't know if you can see the color here. Let's see if the light. Yeah, no, you're just seeing. Oh, there you go. You can get an idea of how sort of tawny and amber it is.
Yeah, it's red, man.
Yeah, it is very deep red.
The light barely goes through there, though, man. When you held it up to the camera, it did not look like it passed through very much.
No, I mean, it was a pretty thick beer to begin with. I mean, the beginning gravity on this beer is something ridiculous. It's like 1,100 points, and it's it has probably gotten darker over the years. I have a feeling that's just from oxidation and just from the chemical compounds changing over time. But there's still bubbles in there. I can't believe that because this stuff, like, you rarely see bubbles in it. It's just kind of a still, silky smooth beer. And right off the bat, you get like lots of raisins, a little bit of a sherry, and like toffee. And it's still pretty cool too. So as it warms up, this is going to taste a bit different.
Nice, man.
Wow.
So what was the last vintage that you had of that, and how does it compare?
I think I had the 2004 before, so this is more of the same. And it's still held up. It's beginning. Wow. Yeah, there's still like some toffee and caramel in there too. It keeps changing. I don't know if this one's passing its prime or if it needs to breathe a little bit more now that it's a little bit older. But I mean, it's a lighter body than I remember it, but it's still pretty thick. It's there may be a few more sort of off flavors from aging that you're getting now. I'm almost wondering if there's a little autolysis going on in there because there's almost a hint of a soy flavor in there, which is usually when the yeast is begun to kind of die off and it
expires
off. Yeah, and it leaves it off flavors as a result. And there is a little bit of yeast at the bottom of every bottle of this to keep it going, but it's nothing that's so in your face. It's like, ugh. It's more sort of like, well, there's a little bit something there, but if it warms up, it'll change, and as the air gets to it and it begins to open up, it'll change. So it's a beer in motion in a weird way.
Nice. Now, when that was manufactured, when that was being brewed on a regular basis back then, Was it always a consistent recipe, or did they kind of switch it up from year to year as well on that, or is there anything that would cause it to not be kind of a, I don't know, can you not predict what it's going to taste like in the future by having one, of an earlier vintage? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it?
No, I mean they didn't. They did do some changing up on the recipe, primarily in hops, over a long period of time. For example, well, just to kind of give you an idea of the continuum that you're working with at the time, the first batch was brewed in 1968, and back then the primary bittering hop at the time, I think, was either Northern Brewer or it was something else. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then the 1968 brew was supposed to be a one-off, and then people enjoyed it so much that they actually started brewing it regularly in the 70s. So through the 70s and the 80s, and I think up into the 90s, there wasn't really too much change in terms of the primary bittering hops in British beers, but like in the 80s or 90s, Target became the big bittering hop. So I have a feeling that at a certain point, the hop profile on this changed. I don't know how much year to year, but I think it was more sort of a over time, little bit here and there, is the way the changes started out. And then the original brewer stopped brewing it in 1999. That was the last batch. And then this was actually from its second coming with O'Hanlon's Brewery, which is still out in England and an operating brewery. They brewed it from 2003 to 2008, so it had a 5-year run there, and then I think it just became economically unfeasible for them to continue brewing it with a very expensive beer to brew. So
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I am listening to you. I didn't want you to think I was being rude, but I was trying to find a little bit of information on your Thomas Hardy beer in this cellaring vintage beer book that I've been reading on and off in the past couple months or so. There's some really interesting stuff about that beer. I remember what year you said that we had one at Dark Lord. Do you remember that was the one with the label that kind of fell off? So you had an estimated.
Yeah, there were two I actually brought to Dark Lord. The two that we drank, I think. I don't know if we had both of them or just one of them. The bigger bottle, the one that the label fell off of, that was either in 1998 or 1999. So that was from the last year or two that it was originally brewed with Eldridge Pope. Or I forget what the company name is exactly, but it's Eldridge Pope was the name I remember. And then they just didn't make enough money off of it to keep it up, so they actually shuttered down, I think, their entire brewing operation. And then the importer here in the United States actually ended up buying the license to make Thomas Hardy. That's when it moved over to O'Hanlon's because they wanted to get another UK brewer in the area so that they could get it as close to the original as possible in terms of the water and everything. So it's pretty much the water that went into this is pretty much from the same wells that went into the original beer, so it was kind of cool that way too.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I still thank you for that opportunity to taste it. It was awesome. So, but then what the heck just happened? Did I get kicked out?
Skylar. No, Skylar's there.
My screen just shifted on me. I've seen Skylar in and out lately, so I didn't know if he's
yeah, mine's all acting funky. It's like it was breaking y'all up, but it looks like it's fine now.
Nice. How you doing, man?
Oh, friggin' busy. Busier than I've ever been in my life.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's looking like a good thing so far.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'll take it as a good thing.
Nice.
What are you drinking tonight? I heard you're blending a couple of your cellared beers to kind of combine for missing last week's episode.
Yeah, since I missed last week's episode, I was in the middle of brewing. I am going all out tonight. I had a really good night. Most of what I've been doing lately is going out to all the bars in the area and trying to sell them my beer. And getting pre-orders ready. We're getting our first kegs out next week, so lots of release parties to go to, and and lots of new people to meet, and it's been a hell of a time.
Now, I hear the horror stories of when Sam Adams got their start and cooks going door to door to bars, trying to get them to buy his beer when there is no market for that. How is it for you to go to these places and try to sell your beer when there's a lot, there's a lot to choose from these days?
Yeah, it's similar in a way, but at the same time, completely different eras switched it around. Now it's more like we need to develop the brand. Not a lot of people know about Galveston Bay Beer Company yet, but I'm going bar to bar to bar, finding bar owners, bar managers, having a few pints with them, discussing beer and building relationships, and that's really what you got to do. It's different from opening a craft brew pub, which is what a lot of people are doing. When you're just opening a microbrewery, completely different field. You're not on your home turf. You have to go out to people and have them sell your beer for you. So you got to really sell yourself. And so yeah, it's been similar in that I have to go to every single bar and you convince them of all the beers they have that mine is going to sell really well. And bringing samples helps because when they taste it, they're usually like, yes, this will sell well. But at the same time, people are really receptive to local craft beer. Everyone wants more local craft, so it hasn't been difficult in that respect, at least.
That's cool. That's awesome. I didn't even think about that as being part of your job now too. You're kind of in sales now. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, because really, that's sort of like going from making it to being sales too.
I am everyone. I brew the beer. I mop the floors. I sell the beer. I'm the guy giving you the kegs. I'm the guy fixing things. I'm that guy.
You got to clone yourself, man.
And that's why I've been busy. But tonight I feel good. I had a lot of really good meetings with bar owners, and everyone's really excited. I'm excited. I sanitized all our kegs today, so we're kegging all the beer this weekend, and it will be out by Monday. So celebration. I am doing something I've never done before. I'm taking 2 very, very strong, very well-aged beers, and doing what is known in the community as Heaven and Hell.
Whoa, nice. Is that worldwide stout in a 120 minute?
In an IPA. So you've got 2 Dogfish Head beers, one at 18%, one at 20% alcohol. They are, these beers are extremely hard to come by, so it's almost like it's killing me to do this, but
And what year are these?
I don't even know. I wasn't keeping track at the time. I'm just pouring them evenly, and we'll see how it goes. I know a few people from the beer circles who've done it before. It's just
and that's where the name comes from, Heaven or Hell?
Heaven and Hell, yeah.
Heaven.
So what I'm going to do, give a little taste of the 120, give a little taste of the worldwide, and then I'll taste it together, and if you'll bear with me, I'll give you kind of a description.
Nice. I'm very excited about this. So, to kill any dead air while Skylar's tasting these. So, you recently had a 120 on the show, and it was cellared for at least a year, I think. So, do you think this is possibly in that batch, or was that?
This was definitely from that batch, because when you find 120 minute, you buy as many as you can. It's just one of those things. It's very hard to come around. And it has developed quite nicely even since the last time I had it. It's become a lot sweeter, a lot more melded. Kind of, I think before I described it like drinking a fine whiskey, and it had a real nice whiskey bite to it because this is high alcohol percentage. Now it's almost like a sweet. Almost like a sweet mead, like a real honey. I'm getting a lot of honey notes from it, and way less bitterness than I was before. So that's doing really well. And then Worldwide Stout, I haven't had since I was actually in the Dogfish Head Brew Pub, and yeah, that is an intense stout. You can't even describe that.
Do you have any idea how old that one is?
This one I've been holding on to for at least a year. It's been over a year. Because
I've got one that's a year old, so I'm curious as to how it's going to be.
It's, when I had it at the brew pub, it was definitely fresh. It wasn't aged. There was a lot of stuff to pick out from it. But this is quite nice and deceptively easy to drink for a 20% alcohol beer.
Except I can smell it from here.
Yeah, Megan, it's potent. That's for sure. The aroma is intense. So I've always heard that these two don't layer well. You can't just make like a black and tan with it. It just doesn't work. So I just straight up mixed them half and half.
I'm so interested to hear what this is going to feel like.
His eyes just about rolled into the back of his head, so that's a good sign.
Is this what blasphemy tastes like?
Nice.
No, it's wow. At this point, you've got two beers that have been aging, and they're both coming out as very sweet with this huge boozy alcohol heat just lingering in the background, and it just makes for a dangerous mix of.
That's like. I really want to know what's the alcohol content of that once you mix those two. Like
I mean, I would think, if they're both around 20%, you're drinking about a 20% beer. It's just blending the two together.
Yeah.
The question is it better than the sum of its parts? And it's too soon. I can't say yet. So y'all go ahead. I'm gonna let this warm up a little bit. Keep tasting.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Can you hold it up to the camera to see what it looks like mixed up?
Yeah. So that's the thing about Worldwide Stout is it is just jet black, and even as light colored as the 120 is, you put this in it. I mean, you've just got a really, really dark beer.
I think you're drinking the world's strongest Cascadian Dark Ale right there. Is basically what that looks like. That's so crazy. I'm interested to see how that warms up. I've got something that I've had in here. It was bottled in July of 2013, so maybe about a year and a half is this one. And I've got another one of this. It's a 3-part bottle series. They had the same beer. They put the 3 of these out. So I still have the one with the comic book strip in the cellar. But so I opened up. This is the standard one. This is a lot more easily to come by when they came out. But the beer is first of all, I love the story behind the beer because it's brewed by 3 really cool people. So Drew Curtis, who created the alternative news website Fart.com, and then Greg Cook from Stone Brewing, and Will Wheaton, who's known within many geek circles for many geek things. So it's kind of cool. He's an avid home brewer that used to brew beer with his son, and it's just one of his main hobbies. And he got in touch with Stone somehow. I forget. I think I actually heard a story once on a podcast that Will Wheaton was like the 10,000th subscriber to their online newsletter that they put out once a month or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he was, and I think that Greg actually reached out to him and said, hey, congratulations, blah blah blah, and they just kind of started talking and ended up coming up with the idea for this beer. But what I was telling Dan when I don't remember if the show had started before I said it, but I didn't know this beer was aged in bourbon barrels. So this is a 13% beer as well. So we're drinking some pretty heavy hitters tonight. This one's brewed with pecans, wheat, and rye. That was one thing I was definitely tasting when I was sipping on this. Is I like the rye in this. It's kind of a cool character. That this beer is really aged well. I remember it being kind of hot when it first came out, and I really liked it. And it was actually pretty popular from what I read online. And it's they actually put out a second version, but I never got my hands on it because I don't think they sold it outside of California. If you guys know anything about that, or if anyone watching this later on, please post in the comments on that. But has either of you guys seen the second coming of that beer?
The 2.0 was sold in two places, California and Kentucky.
Mm. Yeah, I never saw it here.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and I guess something for HopCon. I guess it was a. What is that? What's HopCon?
Oh yeah, HopCon was a San Diego Comic-Con sort of event that happened outside of the convention, sort of in conjunction with it, because Whedon is a big comic book fan as well as a big beer fan. So with Stone being basically right there, they kind of threw it as an off-site event that ran concurrent with the convention. So it was pretty cool.
That's cool. That makes sense. But yeah, it was limited availability when this came out. It's an imperial stout, obviously. It's got 65 IBUs, so it's got some bitterness to it, but it's very roasty, and a lot of the other characters obviously are coming out more to it. There's a lot of chocolate in the smell, but before this has been aged a bit, this was very boozy smelling, and that's really subsided. And it's got a lot more chocolate flavors, a lot of coffee-ish, toffee kind of things. But it's got a little less body than I remember. It used to be a lot thicker. The dog really wants to invade all of my space while I'm doing this show. Sorry.
Indeed.
There we go. All right, lay down, please. So, but this is it's a great beer, but it's like I said, it feels a little watered down than I remember it, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that just happens to beers as they age in general, because mine was the same way. This started off a lot thicker once upon a time. And I mean, it's kind of impressive how much body it's held up over the years. But it's definitely a lighter mouthfeel to it. It's still not light, but it's lighter. So I think it's just what happens as they break down or age.
Woot Stout, having it at first, it had a bit of a thinner body than a lot of stouts I've had, especially at that alcohol content, which could just mean they mashed at a lower temperature or something like that. But yeah, I remember.
So you did have it in Texas when it came out?
Yeah. Yes, I've actually still have a bottle, the one that the very same design that you have tonight. I've got one aging, and I cracked one open back when it was new, and it was really just that was a beer that as soon as you drank it, you knew it needed age. Like, it was all over the place, and it was super hot. The booziness from it was just overwhelming, but at the same time, it was so Stone, and it was so just their style that you just had to love it. If you love Stone, then even at its infancy, that beer was very good, and I'm very interested to see how those flavors.
You can smell this beer and kind of smell hints of the Russian Imperial Stout, like buried under the bourbon. It's almost like that's the base beer. It feels like to me. I don't know.
How do you think that the bourbon flavor has developed versus when it was fresh?
it's not as like sharp because smell's such a big part of tasting. Like you smelled it a lot more when you were initially taking a sip, and it was just like just a punch.
I felt like the bourbon when I first had it was kind of overwhelming a lot of the more subtle flavors, and that's the beauty of aging beers, especially bourbon barrel aged beers, is it kind of sinks to the background and all the other flavors kind of come up and you can really enjoy it. So I have no idea when I'll open mine, but it's good to hear it's aging well.
It is, and I still have another one too, so I'm not sure when. I don't know if I'll probably wait another year on that one then, because just to be in, I'm interested to see how that changes even further. So, looks like Kevin's trying to join us, so we'll.
Yes, join.
I feel successful.
Hey, there you go. What's up, Kevin? How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
We're good, man. We've got some good beers here.
Not bad.
So we're interested to see what you've got here. Before
Yeah, of course I'm going to make you at least tell me what your beers are this time again, even though it's a repeat for everybody but me. I have...
Oh, Matilda.
I have a Goose Island Matilda that I've had sitting for about a year and a half. It was bottled on the 4th of April, 2013.
Matilda ages very well, so I'm excited for you.
I've been making a habit of buying a 4-pack every year and stashing it away. So this one's from the 2013 pack. I haven't had a sip yet, so.
Ooh.
Nice. While you're having your sip, it's funny, I was just on YouTube watching some Goose Island videos that they have on their channel for all the sisters that they have, all of the Belgian styles, and I really want to start stocking up on some of those and putting them away because I think those would age pretty well.
Yeah, it says here on the back, it says 7% develops in the bottle for up to 5 years. Yeah, which is what a handful of theirs have that instruction. I know that Matilda obviously in the Bourbon County's got the same message on there.
Now, do you have any others from that pack that you put away?
Yeah, this is the first one I've had. So I've got this one from this 4-pack from 2013. I got another one this year that I haven't done anything with. Not that this is great right fresh out of the bottle, but I had never had some with a little age on it, so that's where I decided to just get some and stash it away.
Now, what's this base style for that? It's a Belgian pale, but is that like a strong Belgian pale? Like, what's the ABV?
Well, they call it just a Belgian style pale ale.
Okay.
That's what it calls itself.
Right. And the ABV is... Oh, okay. What's the ABV on it?
7.
Oh, it's 7%,
Yeah.
so... Okay, yeah, so it's not quite a strong ale at that point.
No, it doesn't have that kick.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Good.
Well, you'll be the only sober one this evening then.
Oh, yeah, why would you
lowest
guys-
ABV beers. Well, I won't speak for Skylar, so I've got a 13%er. It's an Imperial Stout, the Woot Stout from Stone.
Wow.
And Will Wheaton and Drew Curtis, they did a collaboration in 2013. They did a second incarnation of it. We were just talking about that a little bit ago, but it's really good. It's aged well. I've got another one still in the closet, so I might wait another year on that one just to see how it goes. So,
Cool.
But I don't want to repeat myself too much about what I just talked about. So I'll let Dan talk about
13,
his.
though? That's a big one.
Yeah, it's 13%. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the year. Yeah, I know. I was talking about the year. No, it's a 13% beer as well. But yeah, I think it's like a year and a half it's got on this one. So, but Dan's got a nice little special beer as well.
Oh, yeah, I got the decade-old Thomas Hardy's.
Oh, you brought one out, did it?
Yeah.
Cool.
No, it was one of the nip bottles, so it's only 8.5 ounces as opposed to...
interesting.
Yeah, so that's one of the ways they marketed it. It's a 4-pack of that, and it's held up well for a 10-year-old beer. It's really, especially as it's warmed up and kind of air. I think at this point it's at that age or time in its life cycle where it's got to air out a little bit, to open up a little bit more, and it definitely is helping.
Cool.
It started out more raisiny. You're getting more dark fruits in there, and a little bit of a little more coffee rising out of it. A little bit of the sherry too from the oxidation, but it's good. So.
And the style on that was just like an English ale, right? There's
Well, it's an old ale, but it's also classified as a barley wine. The ABV is 11. Yeah, it's 11.7% alcohol by volume, so it's a big boy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's held up well. It's good stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, he hasn't had much time to let it warm up, so I don't know if he's going to be able to update
Well,
us too much.
let's take another taste real quick. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. So explain to Kevin what you've done here, because this is.
Okay.
This is
Yes,
amazing.
Kevin.
Done?
This is
Yes.
what I've done, Kevin.
He missed last week on the blending episode, so he's just catching up. And
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
Is that what I think it is?
that is what you probably think it is.
It is.
This is 120 mixed with Worldwide Stout.
Wow.
I've got them both separate, and I have them mixed together 50-50.
Okay.
And
he says it's called a heaven and hell.
Yep.
Wow. 50-50 would. Now I'll wait and hear what you have to say, but I'll ask if the stout overpowers the IPA.
That's the thing. At this point, the 120 IPA I've been aging for it must be around a year and a half now.
Okay.
And the Worldwide Stout almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now 120, after you've aged it past a year, it starts really mellowing out and becoming less hoppy and more malty.
Okay.
It's almost like a honey type sweetness. And the stout, as it ages, just kind of becomes this thing that I can't explain. I just can't. And when you mix the two together, it is exactly how you would imagine those two tasting together.
Really?
You get a little bit of the roastiness. I think the roastiness from the stout does kind of supersede the 120, and so actually I'm about to mix a little more 120.
That's what I would. That would. My original thought was when I saw the two of them, it would be like almost 70-30.
Oh, right, to kind of get more Belgian quad sort of maltiness out of it.
Yeah. Dan hit it right on the spot.
Yeah.
If you've ever had like a really well-aged Belgian quad, I would say it's got that maltiness without the funkiness, so it's just super clean, sweet.
Now, have you done that before, or was this just
No, I'm not the kind of guy where I can afford to do this.
Okay. That is an expensive drink.
I'm in celebration mode.
Yeah.
I'm really happy things are working out with the brewery and everything, and I'm really bummed that I missed you guys' blending episode. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna bring blending and cellaring together and blend my two cellared beers.
Well, you can look at this as research too, because every brewery is really getting their blending and barreling programs, and blending is something that you just have to kind of do over and over again to nail it.
I mean, even our first and second batch, we ended up blending, and then parts of our second and third batch we ended up blending, just because we can make a more perfect product. But that's on the post-fermentation side, but before carbonation, before release.
Right.
When you're blending two beers that are final product, that's just and some people will say, that's dumb, or no, it's not. It's genius, and it's fantastic. And beer is all about exploring new territories and finding new flavors and doing things differently. Why not?
Yeah.
That's mostly what they do in wine, so why is it so bad to do that in beer? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, it's not. If anyone tells you that's blasphemy or that's bad, he's just an old coot. Don't.
Well, not only that. There you go.
Well, it just opens so many more opportunities,
Fine.
so many more doors for new beers to be able to be created. Like you can have something so unique that nobody could duplicate because you're blending two things that you've made separately and in separate amounts of time. Like in some sours, it's like they're blending vintages together. You can never duplicate that, and that's the cool thing about that. But is there any sort of science to it at all? Like, is there anything you can take as far as the alpha acids in the hops, or the alpha or the beta acids in the hops to determine like what to blend, or what is it that you need to know about before or is it just experimenting and throwing them together and tasting and seeing if it works? Like, is there anything in between there?
I will say that if I've learned anything from my transition from becoming a home brewer to a professional brewer, besides the fact that they are completely different monsters, and I have learned more about brewing in the past 2 weeks than I have of my 5 years of home brewing, or whatever, is that pH level, the acidity of beers plays a huge part, and it's very understated. Uh, and you'll hear people like John Palmer preach this about water quality and water pH, and not only that, but final beer pH or match pH.
Yeah.
It's especially when blending. It's really important to hit whatever number you're looking for, because you know a beer that's at 4.2 pH versus a beer that's at 4.4 pH, completely different, and blending beers of different acidities or alkalinities, it's really cool. It's just like a chef creating a really wonderful dish that balances between spicy and sweet. I had an experience like that the other night, but I won't go into it.
So you're saying it doesn't. So it's not a bad thing if there are different levels of acidity being.
No. As a matter of fact, it's encouraging. It's all about yin and yang. It's all about balance between two things, and as long as and beer is about balance. The whole foundation of those four ingredients: water, hops, malt, and yeast. Those hops and those malt, they were meant to balance each other out between sweetness and bitterness. And you can get way, way deeper into it, and create something fantastic. And go out, experiment, do new things. Why not?
I was going to say that one of the things that I've noticed from following the Firestone Walker releases, as far as the reviews have gone, is that there's been very much an evolution in their anniversary beers from when they started to the present, and it seems like there's a significant improvement over time, definitely variation from year to year. But I think a lot of that is a reflection of the experience, so there's definitely a huge experiential component to it. But yeah, it's absolutely, beer is always about balance. It's about not just kind of the balance between the hops and the malts. It's also sort of like, how many different things are you going to throw into your malt bill before you start muddying it up? You get more isn't always more complex. It's about the ratios and about just kind of, I guess it's some of it's feel, but some of it is science. You can definitely hit targets as far as what your alcohol is going to be, hit targets as far as your IBUs are going to be concerned. That's the science end of it. The rest, at least from what I can tell from what little I've done, is, because definitely Skeller's got the more experience. And I'm actually, that reminds me, because I do have a question for you, a wise one. Because I just bottled a stout, and it was pretty spazzy. The flavors are there, but I'm wondering how much. It's an American stout. It started as 1070. It fermented out to 1017. So it hit its targets pretty well. How long should I let that condition, do you think, before it begins to sort of melt and gel?
What's the ABV on that?
The ABV is probably going to be in the realm of 7 or 8%, you say?
Okay. Do you say it finished at 1017?
Yeah.
What yeast were you using?
American ale.
Okay. Was that White Labs?
Yeah. It was the slap pack.
Right. Oh, okay, Y yeast. That's give it a little bit. I would think that would actually ferment lower than 1017. But you know what? That's one of those styles when you're getting up into those higher alcohol levels or higher gravity beers. Give that. When did you bottle it?
Oh, just yesterday, literally.
Oh,
So,
give that.
so I was thinking 2 months, but I'm not sure if that's too much.
No,
or...
you're dead on. You know,
Okay.
Dan, you're starting to talk like a brewer. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, try it out maybe every month, and watch it develop, and really keep notes. Please keep notes on what you think about the beer and how it develops over the next month or 2 months. With a gravity like that and ending as sweet as it did at 1017, just keep it going, keep aging it, keep a few bottles, and then keep it for years, because I've done that before, and it just gets better.
Nice. Okay, and that's
How many do you have left, Dan?
I have 14, so it's just under a case of bombers. I put them in 22-ounce bottles. I started off with 16. I gave 2 to Mike today, so guess we should hang on to them, dude.
Hang on to
I'm just gonna let you open yours as time goes on. You tell me when to open them, man. I'll let you tell me.
This is why beer brewing as a hobby is so prolific, because it's like, damn, I have to wait months for this to get good. I better brew another beer in the meantime to hold me over.
Exactly.
That's
He's already done it.
right.
He gave me 2 different beers.
Oh,
And
man.
what was the one that we made? Was it a red, an imperial
Yeah,
red? Or
yeah. No, it wasn't Imperial. That one came in at about 7%. That was a West Coast style amber ale. So it was a hot bomb amber ale, pretty much. And so it was like Warrior for the bittering, and it was Cascade, and what was the other one? I forget. It was another C one. Chinook, maybe. It was a Chinook or something else. But yeah, that one's ready, I think, or it's just about. I bottled that back in the 19th of November, so it's at about the 3.5-week mark, and I've got a homebrew meeting coming up tomorrow, so I've got to bring something. It might go in a little green, but I think that one I plan on it being about a month sitting in there, and that should be ready to go, I think.
Nice.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm excited to try those. I'll wait on the. I'll wait on both of them, but I'll probably wait a month or so for the Warrior. What was the name of that one?
The Red Warrior, and then the stout is Winter Dark, one word.
That's
So,
nice.
yeah.
Sounds like something out of Game of Thrones, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Well, gotta go with fantasy names.
Nice. So the holidays are coming up. Are you guys holding on to a beer that you're planning on opening over any time off that you might have coming up?
No, but as I was reviewing what I had available, here, although I went with the one that was in the fridge, since I didn't look up what the style was until my ride home from work. I do have. I remembered I have like the Goose Island Christmas Ale. I've got a handful of them because I got one from 2011, one from 2012, and then I didn't get one last year, but I've got the one when they put out this year. I forget, they call it something different. What is what is going on?
Well, now I have to play. This is the Festivus. Is that the one that you were talking about?
No, Festivity Ale. That's what it's called.
Oh, Festivity. That's right.
What? This is a
Oh, to our listeners, we're just having too much fun on the video.
I know. I wish we'd do that. Oh,
This is what happens when you go in the
that's
cellar.
definitely what I need is an eye patch. I need that. I definitely need an eye patch.
Oh, what is
I always wanted to be I wanted a bearded clown. I just like how it really sticks to you too. Yeah, so this has totally derailed the show. I apologize for anyone that's maybe watching this.
Skyler.
You should apologize to anybody just listening.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I am going to keep this on here because I think it looks great. I'm just going to stroke my fake beard. So I was thinking of a cool category for the wheel. I don't know if it's time to. Nah, we still have like 10 minutes, so we don't really have to add it now. I need to get this off here. How does it?
Does it hurt? Getting uncomfortable.
Can I? Oh, I almost closed this whole. Oh, did I just close this whole box? No.
Aww.
All right. So, but you were talking about. Kevin. Which beers were you? I know. I can't get this out. I can't even concentrate right now because. Right.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like, Skylar, don't ever do that again. That's great. Dude. We need that like once a week at least.
What Heaven and Hell does to you. You start clicking random shit.
Yeah, so again, Kevin, I don't know if he mentioned it, when he combines those beers, one's like 20%, the other one's like, what was it, 18, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's totally cutting it down.
That worldwide stout is I haven't had it in years, but when I had it, it was I don't know that I've had any stout even anywhere close to that. It was
no,
so good.
you can't. It's in its own league. I don't know if you even consider it a stout at that point. It's a friggin' monster.
I remember a very well. It was short. It was a short evening in my brain as far as how far into the evening that I remember. But I remember us going to the map room one night, and I had at least 2 of those in one sitting.
Oh.
That was. I mean, it was like I had no idea that the ABV was that high until the next day. I was like, man, why was I so drunk last night? And then I looked the beers up that I had, and I was like, holy shit! I just had like
2 of those is more than a 6-pack of something a middle of the road pale ale or something.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a brutally strong beer, but I have one in the cellar as well. I just heard a podcast that I've been listening to the past month or so, and a guy opened up an aged version of it, but I can't remember how old it was. But they claimed that it had fallen off, and it was no longer even good. They were all like passing on it, saying that it wasn't good after a certain amount of time. So maybe not one to age too long, but you would think like 20% you could go forever on that beer. I don't know, but yeah, I'm excited. I would be so curious to try what Skylar's drinking right now. It's just so crazy.
It's weird. It's I can't.
I mean, here's the question: do you like it?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's changed my perspective on everything. As a matter of fact, before we close out, I'd like to add a small anecdote. And I know you guys have heard this before. My previous trip to driving to Delaware from about Houston, Texas to Delaware to the Dogfish Head brew pub. We made it there in exactly 24 hours, nonstop. And Worldwide Stout was one of the beers that I had, and not even thinking about the alcohol content, it was one of 6 beers that I drank that night, right before meeting Sam Calgione.
Now wait, do you remember meeting him?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah,
all right.
He was an inspiration for me, and I told that to him, and I was like, you know what, you've inspired me to become a brewer, and one of these days I'm gonna work at a brewery, and I have, and I almost want to email him, just be like, dude, remember this? Remember when I said that? It happened. So.
And you probably didn't have the brewer's beard at the time, so now you even look graduated.
It was a lot smaller. I will say that.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Obviously, we're all excited for you. That's so cool. So we've got the wheel here that we should probably change up on here. I was talking to Dan earlier today when you were dropping those beers off. What do you guys think of adding cork and caged to the list?
Hey, I like it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an interesting
Kind of
one.
opens it up to a lot of different styles, but kind of,
Mike,
I
do
kind
we
of like these picking random topics that we, like the something on the label where it could almost be anything unexpected.
Yeah.
That's cool.
do we have a smoked beer on there?
I think we do, don't we?
We
Oh,
might.
we just did.
I think we just did it. Let me check after I add this one.
Oh, we did just do a smoked beer because I remember bringing on the smoked stout.
That's right.
With the peat smoked malt.
Yeah.
I've missed the last few
I
weeks. I think that was the first week that I missed.
Yeah.
I think Skylar, I think you added this death label. Anything with death on the label. I've been seeing. It's obviously pretty popular in Chicago with Pipeworks on the unicorn usage for all their beers, but unicorns are everywhere. That beer that Dan, what was the brewery? Do you remember the name of that brewery with the?
Oh, I know they're Wisconsin. It's like, oh yeah, it's 4-carb or carb, like K4 or something like that.
Okay, so there's a beer called Fantasy Factory.
Yeah. Here,
And it's an India Pale Ale. I can't see the name of the brewery. Oh, here we go. Carbon 4 or something like
Carbon
that with
4.
a K.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'll try to hold it up. I don't think it'll even show up here, but it's basically a cat on a unicorn with a golden gun, and there's a rainbow. I'm trying to remember all of the other details. I think there's there's fire coming out of the unicorn with glowing red hot eyes. There's fire coming out of its nose. And the cat has like a little ninja bandana on him. It's the most amazing beer label I've ever seen.
That's pretty awesome.
So I don't know.
Everything.
I like the idea of throwing something out there like it's got to have like some weird reference or weird thing on the label. It doesn't even have to be like the main character, but like it's got to have like a mouse on it or something like that.
Huh.
I think that makes the hunt so much easier. It's so much more fun that way. Those kind of topics, those make me just laugh. Because labels are such a big part of the beers that I pick. Whether we want to admit it or not, it's huge. So.
This is perfect then. Favorite label art.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, in other words, you just go completely off style and just bring your favorite label.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
How are you guys doing as far as like your talks on what's the style that you guys are going to maybe be going for, or what are your logos looking like, or do you have an artist, or how do you guys do that?
That's the thing. That's kind of the thing with being a microbrewery that's just starting out is, we're not bottling, we're not canning, we're just sending kegs out to bars. And it's been on my mind because obviously you don't need art if you don't have a bottle or you don't have a can, but we are planning on canning in the future. And what I was thinking about doing is featuring local artists and commissioning them to actually do, a different. I know a lot of artists in the area, and I was like, I kind of like the cool style. I'm kind of really into art, and I'd love to do like a different style for each different beer.
There's a brewery here in Chicago that you need to check out called Arcade Brewing. They go with a style of like an old school 8-bit arcade kind of.
I've heard of them. Yeah, they've got that.
They commissioned a bunch of local artists here in Chicago to design all their tap handles, and they all look like old school NES zappers.
Really?
But they told the artists like go balls to the wall, do whatever you want to it, and there are some cool fucking tap handles that are totally just their style, and it's defining the brewery just based on just like the art that they're putting out. So yeah, it's Arcade Brewing. Their Facebook page usually updates like with any cool like new updated tap handles that they want to showcase. But it's cool. Like there's so many cool ways to incorporate local art, like you're talking about. So I'm excited for it. Do you guys have any tap handles designed or anything like that yet?
And we were thinking, I mean, with Galveston Bay being as, historically significant as it is, I mean, we've got the lighthouses, we're on the bay. And what we really want to do with the tap handles is have like a big, the tap handle being a lighthouse, much like the one on our design right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it'll have like a flashing LED at the top that slowly, blinks on and off. That would be really cool if we could
That would be
incorporate
awesome.
electronics into that, and I think it would be a really neat looking thing. Right now we've only got generic taps because I mean it's all we can afford right now. But in the future, yeah, we're gonna be going all out and do some really cool stuff with it.
Nice.
I have an idea for you. I'm stealing from Stone. They had a cool thing that they did it at their beer garden. There's one of the bars that had like all the taps on display on a shelf behind the bar, and anyone that was like on, I think it was either the ones that were available or the ones that were empty. They had like a little light that was like lit up on it. So I think that would be awesome if you guys did something like that and just like lit up the lighthouse for the ones that you guys had on tap or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely what we'll do. Incorporating that little LED in there, and yeah,
That's
I
cool,
think
man.
it will set us apart.
Nice. I like it.
Love it. All right, cool, man. Well, I've got a couple of those things added. Does anybody want to do anything else to the wheel? Otherwise, we've got quite a bit here. I just realized.
I would say, is Cellar still on there? Because I would say take that off, because
Yeah.
that's come up a couple of times recently. So I might kind of, not retire it completely, but let it rest.
Yeah, let our sellers age a little bit.
Exactly. let them restock.
Give them a rest. Cool. All right. Well, I've got that updated. I'll give her a little spin. Let's see what we land on.
Scotch ale! Woo!
Oh, that
Scotch ale.
I know what Skylar's bringing.
I mean, that's what we're starting off with. Scotch ale. Come on.
That is awesome.
I don't even have to. You guys have figured it out.
I didn't even add that on there. I don't even remember putting that on the wheel, to be honest with you.
No, I'm totally bringing it. Hammerhead's coming on the show.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know what? That actually correlates with our release. Next week will be the first time we ever release Hammerhead to the public. Why not? Scotch ale, it's like...
I'm thinking this was rigged.
Hey,
No.
I say, dude, promote it at your any of your customers to watch your first review of this beer on the show.
Yeah.
Sure. I wish I could send you guys some.
I was
I
going to
really-
say, that would be awesome. But no, that
Nice.
would be
Well,
an
that'll be
expensive
awesome. I would
goal.
love to. I can't wait to see what one of your first beers are.
Cool.
So
Nice.
that's awesome. All right. Well, we are you going to be around this time next week? Do you think, or?
I hope. I would really like to be. I know I've got release parties all next week, but I think I'll be okay on Wednesday. I'll try to make it.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks guys for joining. I gotta go shave because this mustache is a little itchy. So thank you guys for joining. I'm sorry. I have to play with this a little bit longer. This is I don't care if it derails me. Hey, but it looks awesome.
I just love how when Skylar drinks, the mask boings out. That's awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining. For any of you that's watching, I apologize. For any of you that enjoy this kind of shit, you're ridiculous. So thanks for watching. Keep watching. Subscribe. Join us on podcastcondition.com. Follow us on Twitter. The handle's right there. You can follow. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere you can think of. And we will probably next week be back with crazier facial hair and cat hats and all kinds of stuff. So cheers, guys. We'll be drinking. What do we lay out again? Scotch ales. So Skylar is excited. We're gonna do Scotch ales. All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks again.
Cheers.